This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic!
What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is September 29th,
Yeah.
2025. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host. Fresh off of Media Day, Orlando Magic basketball is kind of officially back. Kev, how the heck we doing? How are you?
Hey, doing great. Yeah, we're like officially back. And especially this year because Media Day is so much closer to the first preseason game of the year. So like we're 5 days away from the game on Saturday against Miami, the preseason game. So yeah, fired up, glad to be here. We're back live again. 2 live shows in a week. What is going on? This is going to be fun. And really fast, just again to prove that we're live. We'll go through some of these messages in the chat. We got Jalen Lawson says, haven't been this excited for a season since I was in 7th grade and we just came off our finals appearance with Dwight. Let's go. Christian says, who else is hype? We are. Janine says, going to be a fun season. Let's go Magic. Rich says, I'm excited, but we still need to actually do something on the court for sure. Jalen also says, I love that photo and I'm going to need them jackets. Well, let me tell you, they're not cheap. One of them is a few $100s. One of them is a few $1,000s. And so, go for it.
And
although
not
I
really
think
for sale.
I was about to say, the second one isn't even for sale. And I think the first one sold out too. But regardless, Chris D says, men and women of culture, we meet again. Let's go. Michael says, road to our first NBA championship starts now. Let's go.
Ooh,
and then Janine says, hit the like button for a special season loading. Thank you for that, Janine. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, if you're watching live or you're watching later, hit that like button. We're glad to be back for a new season of Magic basketball. Let's go, Jonathan.
Yeah. Real fast, wanted to give a special shout out to our boy Tony Quinn, who sent this over to me. Wanted Magic fans everywhere to know that the gray-ish kind of edition of this that we saw at the launch party for the rebrand sold out really, really quickly, and people liked it so much that they're introducing a couple new colorways. There's this blue and cream one that has like the puff print on it, which I love, but they're also doing like a white and blue one. This is part of the like 89 brand that you'll see at the new Magic Authentics shop. It's going to be available in October, so appreciate our boy Tony Quinn from the social media team sending that over. And be sure to stop by the Magic Authentics team store and pick yours up in a couple of weeks. So just wanted to shout out Tony. Really, really appreciate that.
By the way, the team store is getting quite the facelift. You can't even go there right now. I think they're closed all week because they're doing some renovations. So I'm excited to see what that place is going to look like, especially once, the first home game, well, even the preseason home game here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. That should be interesting too.
Yeah, Kevin and I walked by the team shop today on our way to the Advent Health Training Center just to kind of see what was going on. And I don't really think it was what I expected. Like they're almost like tearing everything down in there to like make that new. And I hadn't thought about like that big blue like banner like right outside the team shop.
Like
that
right on the
originally
corner.
had the Adidas logo on it when, the Amway or now Kia first opened it as the old logo and everything. So it's just everywhere you go where the old logo used to be, we know there's going to be something new with the new logo. So just like really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and obviously, we're going to talk about Media Day here in a second, but this was our first time seeing everybody all in the new jerseys. And those whites, up close and personal, they are very crisp, very clean. If you've seen any of the pictures or videos from today, everybody was wearing the white. The new white jersey, and it's so nice. It's really nice, and especially it just pops. Like it's like there's different shades of white, which sounds dumb, but there's different shades of white, and whatever shade of white, exactly, exactly right. But this whatever shade of white this is, it's just electric. I think it looks great, so that was cool too.
No, super clean. I know we're gonna talk, about everything from Media Day, but speaking of things that just like kind of pop at you, like there's a few guys who look a lot bigger, a few guys who look a lot smaller and like really slimmed down. Like Paolo to me looked really not thin, obviously, because he's gigantic, but like chiseled. J.I. obviously has lost a ton of weight. Franz somehow looks even taller than I remember.
He was huge. Yeah.
And Jalen is absolutely jacked. I know a couple seasons ago we talked about like Swole Cole. Like Jalen's always had, pretty good build and definition and everything. But we talked about it on the show with us, which shameless plug if you haven't checked out our episodes from last week. We had an episode with Jalen Suggs. We had an episode with Desmond Bain. But Jalen is like yoked. Like the jersey's fitting pretty tight on him these days.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And the whole Franz height thing, I couldn't believe it. Like I know his hair's a little long and it was, a little puffy on the top. He had it, built up a little bit. But even outside of that, he has grown since he's been in the league. Like no doubt. And especially seeing him today. Like there's some arguments about, the pictures of him next to Mo or whatever, like the angle, but no, Franz legitimately looked taller to my naked eye. Well, not really naked.
Hair
it's
looks
covered,
like it's a little bit more voluminous as well. I need to know how he figured that out.
Yeah, it was definitely added some height, but even if you just got to, his actual skull, it's definitely taller. Yeah.
All right. Well, media day, as it always does, started with Jeff Weltman. For me, really the quote maybe of the day from Weltman was that right now he's more excited than he's ever been in his time here in Orlando. And hey, for a guy who faced a lot of criticism, in our opinion, deservedly so last year, and was really under the gun to make moves happen this offseason, it's hard to picture the Magic having a better offseason than that they did. Like, given what they had to work with and the way that they seem to hit on everything, adding Desmond, adding Tyus, drafting Jace, drafting Noah Penda, which from like a value perspective, those guys went like pretty, far below where a lot of people had them. So, Jeff has right now every right in my mind to kind of, like puff his chest out a little bit and go into media day in this season with a little bit of swagger. And we heard that really from everybody, how excited they all are for this season. And the word that we kept hearing was just expectations, right? That was asked of each person. But Kev, what did you think of Jeff today, his comments?
Well, for a guy who's, been around a long time, and for seemingly every media availability for 7 years, 8 years, however many years it's been, for a guy that has expressed little to zero emotion, just very matter of fact, cut and dry, to say you're excited, that's an emotion, right? Which is not something we've gotten from Jeff through the years. And so to hear those words from him was definitely something. And yeah, it's just another sign pointing to how excited everyone is for this season. And I'm glad he's admitting that he's excited. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool to hear the guy who's the head of the basketball snake in Orlando is excited, and gives me even more reason to be excited. And yeah, that was pretty cool to hear.
Now, folks, Kevin and I haven't even really talked about our thoughts on Media Day. Like, we wrapped up Media Day, walked to our cars. Kevin had like a 15-hour drive home, and I, drove back to the West Coast and everything. So like we haven't really asked each other anything about Media Day. But Kev, it's tough because now I'm remembering you were not in the building last year. Obviously, right. Like you were going through all the health stuff. But I know Ben and we talked about there was a very electric energy in the building last year, and it was like the new level of excitement, like kind of, you're in middle school and like you have a new girlfriend or whatever, and it's like new and it's, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This season, I didn't feel like that, like kind of nervous energy. It was more of like a calm confidence, right? And like this season, like really being all about business. Like, did you kind of get that vibe as well, that there wasn't like an electricity in the air? It was just like, hey, like we're here to do Media Day, but it's time to get to work.
Yeah, it wasn't like when you talk about first day of middle school or stuff. That's like a very like giddy feeling, like ooh, or the new girlfriend or whatever. And I didn't get those vibes at all today. Yeah, it was very much like this is something we have to do. It's Media Day, we do this. And there's a little bit of excitement, a little bit of guys hyping each other up, and obviously hyping up the new guys and all that. But outside of that, there wasn't any kind of outlandish statements or anything like that. It was just very much matter of fact, and yeah, I think expectation is the word, and yeah, a lot of guys are just kind of expecting this to be a big year, and I think part of that also comes from they won't say this, but the added pressure that I think everyone's feeling. I really think that's an element to this, to where, in the past, we were just happy to be there, happy, and I don't mean media day. I mean the team was just happy to be competing, happy to be making the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. But this year it's different. This year there's a level of expectation, and I think everybody feels that. And I definitely think that was kind of communicated today. Want to go through some more of these messages that we're seeing from.
I just wanted to add real fast.
Go for it.
And as fans, we were just like happy to be here.
Right. Yeah.
Happy to have the team back in the playoffs. And now it's like, hey, you added Desmond Bain and you sign all these guys to max contracts. Like, it's time to win in a significant, like, measurable way.
Right. Yeah. Seth Berry says white jerseys too clean. They really are. Solitary Introvert says making my dinner, just tuning in. Let's get it, Magic. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying your meal by now. Let's see. Jane says this season just feels special. Really enjoyed the media day content and can't wait for the season to start. Ace the Baller says, I'm so excited for the season, trying to balance my emotions and my expectations. Maddie World Peace, our dear friend, says, what was for breakfast today, boys? Well, we hit up a classic spot in Winter Park, old Briar Patch, and it never disappoints, nor did it today. It was very good. Chris D says those jerseys make me feel all sorts of things. Tavia says, let's go Magic. Can't wait for the first preseason game this Saturday. You and me both. I can't wait. We tweeted it out last week that according to the Magic website, that is going to be broadcast on FanDuel Sports Florida. So that is going to be a game that everyone can watch. Whether you're local in Central Florida, you can watch it that way, or nationally on NBA League Pass. A couple more here. A friend of ours, Christian Pizarro, says, so hyped and ready for Magic Ball. Daniel says, Franz is tall. Facts. Definitely is. Janine said that Franz called it his modern day mullet. I love that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So yeah. And then Janine says there's a lot of conversation on the live stream about professionalism and huge praise for the coaches. Yeah, that about lines up with it. Going back to Jeff really fast, there's one other thing that I quite enjoyed. I hope I'm getting this right. We're doing this off the cuff. I believe he was asked about the Paolo extension. Basically, I don't remember the exact question. He was asked about the extension and basically what does that mean for Paolo going forward? What are the expectations going forward? And Jeff said, I have expectations for him, but they're the same thing that Paolo has. The expectation is to win. Yeah. And so the part that I vividly remember, the sentence that he said, we're paying him to win. That was the sentence that came out of Jeff's mouth, which I was like, wow, that's pretty funny to hear that. And so, but he's right. I mean, if you ask Paolo, it's the same thing. Everybody wants to win. And that's part of the reason why we love this team, is because, this team prides itself on drafting and acquiring guys of high character, guys who are less about I and more about we. But I thought that was funny. Like when he was asked about, you're paying Paolo $75 million. He's like, yeah, we're paying him to win. I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest questions that I had going into media day, we got an answer to pretty early, right after Jeff Weltman was Jamal Mosley. And I want to say Philip Rossman-Reich, it was either maybe like the second or third question Jamal was asked, just about the additions of Joe Prunty and God Shamgod, and like how that is going to affect the offense. And we figured we talked about it beforehand. I think we even talked about it with some of our patrons when we met on Saturday. Yeah. And we were pretty confident we were going to get kind of like a non-answer to that, which is, I mean, we didn't get a non-answer, but we didn't get exactly what we wanted from that when asked, like, how different is the offense going to look? And it's really funny. A couple questions later, Oklahoma City got brought up, and how it's a copycat league and everybody tries to emulate winners and stuff like that. His answer to the question about the offense was about converting turnovers into points, which is what Oklahoma City, I believe they led the league in last year. Which, sure, like this team is, the offense will get better if they're able to convert on those opportunities and convert more in transition. But I don't think he's going to come out and say, like, well, Joe Prunty is going to, making these changes to our offensive scheme. And teams are going to pick up on whatever those changes are, however nuanced they are as they get more film. But with new additions on the roster and, new coaching, hires and God Shamgod and especially Joe Prunty. But they did talk about just how respected he is around the league and, how smart he is and how offensive minded he is. We are going to see some changes just to the way that the offense operates. But I'm excited to see how much of that we see on Saturday and how much different the offense looks.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to note, we may or may not see how different it is on Saturday, but let's also not forget that leading up to Saturday, the guys have 4 days of practice, official practice. Yeah, some of them have been in the gym, but not even think about Franz, Tristan. They were away at Eurobasket. They haven't done that yet, and so how much can really be installed in 4 days? We'll see. But I think it's important to note that it is going to be a work in progress. This team has just under a month until the start of the actual season. And so I think it could potentially be a work in progress over the course of the 4 preseason games, especially between game 1 and game 2. That's what I'm most interested in because game 1 is Saturday, game 2 is Friday, if I'm remembering correctly. So, basically, they'll travel back Sunday probably, and you'll get 5 days there. 5 more days to install whatever changes might be. So yeah, that's very exciting. And yeah, we asked a couple of the guys, just going back to the new coaches. I think it was Wendell who said he's known Shamgod for a very long time. And so that was kind of interesting to hear. There's some connections, some of the other players as well. And so all in all, it sounds like a lot of guys are excited to have those guys in the building. And they all said that they've already been working with both of them. And so getting familiar with both of them. And so that was pretty cool to hear as well.
Now, going back, we talked a little bit about the energy, and I do have to go back a little bit because there was one guy who had kind of bouncy energy, and that was J.I. And if there's anyone on the roster, you mentioned that when he kind of, came up and sat down with which different vibe to Media Day this year. The previous, 3 seasons that we've been a part of it, it's just basically been like a media scrum where you're just respectfully trying to get your questions in whenever you can. And this was more of like a, pre or post game presser kind of vibe with the microphone going around, which honestly, made it a lot easier, was a more, comfortable, environment today. So a big shout out to the Magic PR team and just the way they conducted all of Media Day today. But if there's any guy that we want to see with a new, renewed kind of energy and kind of bouncy like that, it is going to be J.I. because he on the floor was kind of the opposite of that last year. So he's a dude that, he doesn't always post on his social media about, about the Magic and the team and everything like that. There's been a lot more of that recently from his social media accounts, which not saying there's a right or wrong. It just kind of is what it is. But he almost more than anybody seems so excited for this year. In fact, I think he was asked about that. Is this the most excited you've ever been for a season? He kind of laughed and said, I feel bad saying yes, but yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jonathan Isaac believer over here, and hopefully it materializes into what we see on the floor.
Yeah, he again just kind of had a little pep in his step. Even it was the first or second question I leaned over to you and said dude, he's pumped up. And but yeah, and then it was me. It was me, by the way, that asked him that question. No, just kidding. But I asked him about because I said,
sorry.
I'm just kidding. He's been here. He's the longest tenured Magic player. He's been here the longest out of everybody, which I think was true last season anyway. But yeah, I mentioned that, and I was like, is this the most excited you've been of an off season? He's like, I feel kind of bad saying it, but yeah, super super excited, and yeah, he has every right to be, and you got to think about it too, from his perspective, he was drafted in what 17? Yeah. So, I mean, that's a long time. You think about all the different off seasons and think about how abysmal some of those were. Whether it's injuries, he had so many off seasons that were wrecked by injuries, or whether it was just going into a season with very low expectations and doing that repeatedly, and everything in between, to go into a season this year where for the first time, really, it's borderline championship aspirations, if not full championship aspirations. That's got to be a really cool experience for him, just as a player in general. And so to be able to do that in Orlando, for the first time, I think was pretty exciting to him.
What do we got from the chat, Kev?
Let's see. We got a few more here from the chat. Jose with the very important question says, "How was Briar Patch?" It was very good. I got the sausage, spinach, goat cheese omelet, which was electric, and the home fries there are just undefeated.
Dude.
So yeah, that was great.
I had the Southwest omelet, which, first of all, I don't know how they do whatever they do with eggs. I've never seen an egg do that.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's got to be like at least half a dozen eggs.
Yeah.
But it's just so like light and fluffy. That's the thing about Briar Patch. Like, you and I have gone a couple of times now, and I think we both got the Nutella waffle last time, and as massive as it is, and just how, it just looks like diabetes on a plate. Like, it's still super, super light. And the home fries just like super crispy, but on the outside, but just like fluffy and just perfect. Like, every bite that you have there, just, it's phenomenal. I could go on all day about Briar Patch.
They should sponsor the show. That'd be great.
Should.
Ace the Baller says, "Shout out to Kevin for driving 15 hours down to Orlando for me today." Just to be clear, Jonathan was being a little exaggeratory.
I don't know. On the way down.
Yesterday on the way down was miserable. That was almost 7-hour drive. It's supposed to be 4 hours.
What'd you have, like a 12-hour round trip?
Just about 11 hours.
Yeah,
11 hours round trip. So yeah, that was stupid though. It's never been like that ever. It's usually a quick and easy 4 hours, but yesterday was not. Chris D says, "Mosley coach speak is undefeated." Mr. Business Traveler says, "Great job, guys. So are you guys going to have after game / on location type broadcasting this coming season?" Well, this is a great question. So what can you expect from the Six Man Show this season? It's going to be a little bit more of the same as we've done the last few seasons. So first off, post-game live. That's our live post-game show here on YouTube after every single Orlando Magic game. That is coming back, of course, starting this Saturday. That includes preseason, by the way. So starting this Saturday with the game against Miami. So as soon as the game finishes, you can come to YouTube. You can see myself or Jonathan or Matty World Peace, who was in the chat earlier, or Samuel Hewish, all four of us, however many that is, 4 of us. Yeah, thank you. All 4 of us, we kind of rotate throughout the season and host those games, host those shows, which again, maybe you're new with us this offseason. That's one of the things we do. Another thing that we do that, we don't do during the offseason, but we do during the season is called the Six Fan Show. It's our fan-centered show outside of Kia Center. We do it for a select number of home games or watch parties throughout the year, 10 or so. And so that's coming back this season. We're excited. We'll announce some more info about that probably this week. And then obviously the Six Man Show, the podcast that you're listening to right now, Jonathan and myself, that still comes out every Monday and Thursday. And so as for your specific question about after game or on location stuff, maybe we got to do one of those in the playoffs last year after game 3, which is super fun. We hope to be able to bring something like that back this year. And so we're working on some things like that. But regardless, those are the 3 things you can count on. Post-game live on YouTube after every game, Six Fan Show outside Kia Center after select games, and then obviously this show that you're listening to right now every Monday and Thursday. A couple more things from the chat. Let's see. Jalen Lawson says, "I envision AB doing a sham god and dropping Brunson." Bro, that would be wild. That would be electric. And then TH962 says, "You're saying J.I. wasn't excited about his years with Evan Fournier." Well, he was probably excited, but he said today...
He was very excited for those years.
Yeah, this was the most excited he's ever been. Yeah. A couple more here. Ty, is that Ty Mr. TV with Ty, or is that someone different? Ty TV says, "The front office had a championship level offseason, in my opinion." Facts. And then Ace the Baller says, "Do the 10-day contract guys play during the preseason?" 10-day contract, I don't know if you mean the Exhibit 10 contract guys, and then they are available to play during preseason. As far as I know, yeah, pretty much everyone who's available on the roster right now can play during the preseason. And then between preseason and regular season is when they cut the roster down to whatever. Well, that was one thing Jeff Weltman talked about, I guess. The fact that the roster sits at 14 and how pretty much the Magic are kind of stuck just because of salary cap and all that kind of stuff. And so what you see right now with the main roster is what you're going to get this season. And so he did mention
say that later in the year, when I don't know exactly how the cap mechanisms work, but that they may be able to sign somebody to like a minimum for the rest of the year, but that's not going to be until, February, March, like trade deadline kind of timeline.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that was Jeff. We talked a little bit about your. You got one more?
A second ago.
Yeah.
I forgot that. I mean, obviously, we had news, like advanced notice that Jalen, most likely wasn't going to be ready for training camp. We got that from our conversation with him last week. But Jeff, I don't want to say like completely unprompted, but a guy who never, ever, 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 ever gives dates said they're aiming for opening night with Jalen, which is huge. And I don't know how different the approach to talking about injuries and timelines is going to change now that we're, kind of in win now mode. But I was borderline shocked when he actually said a date for that. So if Jalen is ready for opening night, that's incredible. And then he mentioned that Mo is obviously much further off, and we'll talk more about Mo in a bit. But that was big. That from Jeff.
Yeah, that was big. Very surprising. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, like we talked about, when Jalen said that on the show, like there's a lot of time between now and the start of the season. We're almost a month out. And so a lot can happen. A lot of conditioning can happen during that time, or whatever other things he needs to do. But yeah, that was pretty encouraging to hear.
Yeah. Trying to think, obviously, so much said. I mean, Mo Wagner, I think, is a good place to go next. Obviously, talking about the injury front, who like quite literally like jumped up onto the podium when he came up, as if to say like, hey, like I'm kind of okay. I know we'll talk about the Berlin, you got to ask both Franz and Mo about their excitement for that. But Mo talking about the rehab, not going to come back obviously till he's 100% ready, and said that at this point it's more about, getting back into shape more than it is like rehabbing the injury. Like rehabbing, he's pretty much done with that, but is going to spend the next, I guess, couple of months getting back into game shape before he's able to return, and told everybody, like, I'm not going to come back until I'm ready. Like, if I'm playing, you'll know that I'm 100% ready.
Right.
So,
yeah, that was cool. And then, I mean, honestly, watching Franz and Mo's face essentially light up when they were asked about Berlin, like it's on a fan level, like a fan perspective, it's very exciting. It's all these things. But to those guys, you can tell it is just so much more. Like yes, they're gonna love the environment, they're excited for it, but it's again not just specifically because it's Germany, but because it's Berlin, because it's that arena. Like that arena is where Alba Berlin plays basketball. That's where both of those guys played basketball professionally. In that league, at least in Berlin, like that's their home. Like it means so much more to them, because they're not just inviting their teammates to their home, which I think part of that is that as well. Like they're excited to show their team where they grew up and all this kind of stuff. I think that's part of it. But they're excited that it's going to be showcased to the world, and I think that's really cool, especially because it's going to be a nationally televised game on Prime. It's a Thursday afternoon Eastern time game, so nothing else sports wise is going to be on. Like if you're interested in sports, you're watching that at I think it's 12 o'clock on that Thursday noon. So that's exciting. And then it's the other way around as well. Like I think they're excited to bring their game to their people in Berlin, to the literal people in their lives, their families and stuff, but just to the community. And so you could just see it in their faces, like when they were asked about it, and those are some of the things that they expressed. And so I know they're super, super excited for that. And yeah, that it's hard to believe that's still like 4 months away. We got a long way to go to get there, but I know they're already really excited for it.
I was a little bit surprised when you asked Mo, like, hey, like you're 100% like gonna be. I thought he was just gonna be like, yes, like there's no way that I'm missing that game. But like to his credit, now we're all assuming he's gonna be ready by then, right? But to his credit, he said, hey, if I'm not ready by then I'm not ready. Like the fact that he's taking it to that extreme tells you how seriously he's taking this recovery. And he did say that, to you guys, like talking about obviously, the media that was there, but anybody watching, that when you see me play, I want you to, forget that I ever got injured. I don't want my game to be any different. So, where do you want to go next? What do you want to talk about next?
Let's see. I made a note. One of my favorite moments of the day. Let's go to Wendell. one of my favorite moments of the day. It was kind of a lighthearted thing. One of the reporters asked him. I don't know if she was setting it up because she knew and she wanted to hear the answer, or if she had no idea. But they were talking about the WNBA, and she asked him.
Everybody knows.
I thought so, but it sounded
everybody knows.
It sounded very innocent. Like it sounded very unassuming. And so she asked, who your favorite WNBA player is, and he like smirked at that, and he said, "I love that question." And then he mentioned Angel Reese, of course. If you haven't heard, they're a thing. And so I thought that was really funny. And then was asked about 2-on-2 Wendell and Angel Reese versus Bam Adebayo and who was it? Wilson, A'ja Wilson. Yeah, A'ja Wilson. And he was like, 11-0. We'll smoke them or whatever. That was pretty funny. But I think when it comes to Wendell though, he I get the sense that he like understands the responsibility that he had. Not that he didn't have a responsibility before. Of course, these guys know, they're professional basketball players. They have a responsibility to play well. But I think when it comes to the Magic system and the Magic personnel, I think he knows that he's going to have a little bit of extra weight on his shoulders. But at the same time, one of the things he talked about a lot was he feels like the addition of Desmond Bane and another year of Paolo and Franz and so on and so forth is actually going to open up his opportunities even more. And it's going to be up to him to take advantage of it. And he talked about it, whether that's, being more open, from distance, because shooters like Desmond Bane are going to attract so much attention, where, he's going to get a guy in the air and he's going to dish it off to Wendell, who's going to be wide open, those kinds of things, or whether it's just crashing the glass or whatever. I could tell he feels not just the responsibility, but also the opportunity that he thinks can come out of the season.
Yeah, we heard him say that, especially after having like a fully healthy offseason, that he's as confident as he's ever been.
Yeah,
which is really big. To be fair, we heard him say the same thing last year, and then obviously there were a ton of struggles. But I do think there is something to be said. Like as you get a little older, like each year you just get a little bit more comfortable in your own skin. So I do think there's something to that. And thinking back to Wendell, J.I., Franz, all talking about working on their shooting this offseason, and how about so much of the struggles last year became like mental, right? And just became like an epidemic across the team. Just guys not being able to knock down shots just kind of bled into everybody else, to the point where J.I. said like there were points playing last year that it just was not fun because he was struggling, especially offensively. And those three guys in particular, if this team is going to be as good as we think we can be, we're going to need each of their shooting to take a step forward. So obviously every guy get asked like, hey, what are you working on this season? And every guy basically said, shooting, to some effect. We were the same, out of AB and Tristan and everything. Speaking of Tristan, got to talk. Oh,
sorry, can I just do one more Wendell thing really fast? Because Chris D says in the chat, and it's too good not to mention it.
Oh my
says, please tell me Wendell didn't say this year was a must-win season. That's funny. No, he didn't say that. Because if he did, we'd go 0-82. So, yeah, he didn't say that. But sorry, go ahead, Tristan.
There's a running joke because the last couple of seasons, not everybody watches the like post-practice availabilities and the pregame stuff, and especially like on the road. Over the last two seasons, there's been like 3 or 4 instances of Wendell saying something to the effect of like, this is a must win, or like, we have to win this game.
It's a get back game. Yeah.
It's a get back game. Like in every single one of those, the Magic have lost.
Yep.
So we just, it means nothing. It's just, we're not superstitious, but we're a little stitious.
That's right.
We would appreciate Wendell to just stay away from saying things like that because, so far it just has not, really gone well.
Yeah. Tristan, you were about to talk about Tristan.
Talking about Tristan. Obviously, he was so impressive in Eurobasket, and getting to ask him, because not that he struggled necessarily early in Eurobasket, but just wasn't making the impact that we thought he would. And we've talked about that on the show, but especially the last couple of games of the group stage and then all throughout the knockout rounds and, into the gold medal game, just kind of flipped the script and was playing so much better. And asked him what changed for him and how he can, take whatever he learned in Eurobasket and apply that to, playing with the Magic this year. And he said, I just kind of learned to take like step by step, play by play, game by game, like just take things one at a time. And he said that really helped his mentality and the pressure of those games, because it's for these guys, like playing internationally, like it's everything. It's every bit as important to them as what they might do in the NBA in a given year. But him, Franz, like being in those high pressure, must win, win or go home situations, and being able to perform and to deliver and ultimately win the gold medal, he said is going to be big for them. But obviously, like we know it's going to be big for those guys this year. Like if Franz is in like a game 7, again this year, like he was against Cleveland a couple of years ago, he's got even more experience to build off of and to take with him as he goes into those games. And Kev, you got to make eye contact with Tristan da Silva, man.
Look, here's the deal. Last year I was unavailable for media day because I just had my surgery. And so I hadn't actually gotten any kind of FaceTime with Tristan da Silva until today. And so, I asked him a question. And then he looks you in the eyes, while I was responding. And, like, those eyes are crazy, man. Like, I don't mean crazy eyes. I mean, like, they just, like, they go right into your soul. Like, they're something else.
Tristan's a good-looking fella, man.
Yeah, it's really, really something. Really, really something. Yeah. But,
trying to think. Obviously, Desmond, Tyus, Goga. Let's talk a little bit about expectations, because that was asked to pretty much everyone, and I think like to a guy, it's not a direct quote. Like in years prior, it feels like everybody was given like a note card, like, hey, you have to say this line during your media availability. But talking about expectations, everybody shared that like nobody has higher expectations than we do in this building, which is saying a lot because some people have pretty lofty expectations. What were your thoughts on that, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost like the shark blood in the water type thing. Like I think they sense it. A lot of these guys have been around long enough to where they were around some not so great teams. We talked about J.I. earlier, but even, think about Franz and Jalen, their first year in Orlando, 22 wins, that was rough. And even, Paolo comes in his first year, it wasn't bad, it was a big improvement, but it wasn't winning basketball. And so I think just the natural progression for a lot of these guys, they're ready to go. They're ready to win. And then you think about some of the guys that were added, Desmond, Tyus, like they come in with the expectation to win. I mean, even specifically Tyus, like as a free agent, he had a choice of where to go, and he chose here because I think he believes that this is a place that he can win. And so, yeah, I think there's just an expectation amongst themselves. And the whole blood in the water thing I think is real, when it comes to the Eastern Conference and who's maybe unavailable for some other teams. And so I think everyone kind of sees this as a really, really big opportunity, individually, collectively. I think expectation is a very fair word to use for what we heard today.
Yeah. Just so ready to see everything get started officially. And we know Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm guessing they leave for Puerto Rico on Friday.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
So they're really losing a day of training camp for travel.
After practice on Friday is what it said, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, Friday, so they still get that day, but we'll start to hear and get like post-practice availability. Are they still... I feel like it was a couple of seasons ago they were having like a morning session and an afternoon session, if I remember correctly. I don't know if we'll still...
I haven't heard about that this year, but... I'm not sure. That'll be.
I think it might have been related to when they lost a day to the Hurricane a couple seasons ago.
Right.
But now we're like officially on penny watch, because if Jalen isn't necessarily ready to start training camp, I'm going to be paying attention to who's playing with the starters.
Yeah.
We do this every year, and some people say, hey, it doesn't really matter. I don't know. It kind of has seemed to matter in years past. So if we see AB or Tyus or even Jace, playing alongside Paolo and Franz and Desmond, rumors are going to start to swirl.
Yeah. I want to talk about some of those guys here in a second. Jonathan, I want to read some stuff in the chat. Maybe after that we can talk about some chicken. How about that? Let's see. There a couple of guys in the chat are talking about if Jalen is out. Brian says, don't worry, we got Tyus till he's ready. And someone also said, or AB. That's true. That is one good thing about kind of that guard spot, I think, is going to be pretty important. Birdie says, was interesting how excited Bane is about playing with Wendell Carter Jr. on a podcast, which I'll interject here. The podcast was with Kevin O'Connor and Yahoo Sports, was saying he plays best with bigs like him and Steven Adams. Said Wendell was their X factor. Seems they've found good chemistry. Yeah, I think Wendell is a maybe the biggest X factor, I think, on this team this season. I think if Wendell plays well, I think this team is going to be elite. Sam says, we out here. I'm going to run through a wall. Please don't do that. We need you for the post-game lives this year. Shout out to Sam. Steven says, how is Jet looking? I still have hope for him turning it around. I do want to talk about Jet here in just a second. Hold that thought. Heck yeah says, Wendell definitely never looked as happy in interviews as he did today. Chris D says, Kevin just looked like he made eye contact with Hypnotoad. It was something like that. And then Heck yeah says, they'll essentially have 3 small training camps with how the preseason schedule is broken up. That's true. Yeah, because they'll have this week, then they have the Puerto Rico game, then they have next week, then they have the Philadelphia game, then they have the Miami game. So that's a Friday, Sunday, at Philadelphia, home to Miami. Then they have 3 more days before the preseason finale on that Thursday against the Pelicans. And then they'll have basically another week until the season opens on the following Wednesday. So yeah, it is kind of 3 or 4 small training camps. Let's see. Janine says, Desmond and Tyus both said that Tyus was really hoping he would land with us. This is our life now. Isn't that great? Meh says, OKC sucks. I mean, in some ways, yes. But in statistics, no, they don't. They won a lot of games last year and a championship. But yes, I do understand the sentiment there. Chris says, Tyus says, Jalen insurance. AB stays 6th man. That is going to be interesting. That's, I think, one of the most interesting things is Tyus and AB, who plays what and when and all that kind of stuff. We'll see how that goes. And then Christian says, just a few more weeks until we can play the song again. I mean, if we win Saturday, we're playing the song again. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's all from the chat right now. Let's hear about some chicken, maybe.
Let's hear about our friends over at Jam Hot Chicken. Jam Hot Chicken, proudly serving the city beautiful. They're bringing Jam's culture and hot chicken to Winter Park. They're also bringing our listeners 10% off. So if you are a listener of the show, you can head to jamhotchickenfl.com, go to their menu, and go to Order Now, and use code 6THMAN, spelled out SIXTH, MAN, for 10% off your online order. It must be an online order. But Jam Hot Chicken is a Nashville and LA-inspired hot chicken shack, locally owned and operated in Winter Park, Florida, located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square. Soon to also be in the Plant Street Market in Winter Garden, so be on the lookout for that. Follow them at Jam Hot Chicken on all social media. You can also order it on Uber Eats, so if you're local, don't want to leave the house, want to get that delivered to your door, you can just download the Uber Eats app. Not only are they big supporters of the show and everything we do here, they're diehard Magic fans, so be sure to stop by, whether it's before, a Magic game, on your lunch break, whatever it is. Stop by and let them know that the boys over at the 6-Man Show sent you.
We also want to shout out Nikki Nunu, Emil Kaligiev, Magic Wired, Mysterious Mosley, and Dalek Lopez. Those are 5 of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons. They're the ones that went to patreon.com/the6man show and decided that they want to financially support the show. We also shout out brand new patrons that we have, and today we get to shout out Jesu Got Magic. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon community. Again, if you would like to financially support what we're doing here at the 6-Man Show, you can go to patreon.com/the6man show and choose the tier that's right for you. If you love the content that we bring, if you want to support it in that way, that's the best way to do it. It's a great way to get involved, not only to support what we're doing, but also to get involved with the Orlando Magic community. We have a ton of people that engage with us on our Discord channel, which is one of the perks or benefits that's available, as well as the monthly Zoom call, which we just did this weekend, and ad-free episodes. So if any of that stuff interests you, again, this is the place to go, patreon.com/the6man show. Find the tier that is right for you. Big shout out to all of our amazing patrons.
So there was a question a minute ago about Jet Howard, and I think there was a quote from Jet Howard today that was simultaneously encouraging and disappointing.
Okay.
He was asked basically what needs to change from your first couple of years to this year in order for you to see playing time, and it basically talked about building habits, being consistent. And I think he said, like, I need to go the extra mile. And for me, it was like, okay, maybe he's maturing in that way and realizes like some of the things that he needs to do in order to like really be able to be successful and potentially see the floor here. But it was also a little discouraging because like, why is it taking until year 3 for you to realize that? What were your thoughts on that?
I honestly didn't think too much into it. That felt just like, to me, felt a little bit like just grasping for something to say as a response to that question. I'm not sure he really either didn't have an answer or the answer he had maybe it wasn't going to be good and he just tried to grab something. I'm reading way into it. If that is true, maybe that is a little bit surprising and disappointing. But my favorite moment with Jet was I jokingly asked him about his hair. If you haven't seen, he cut his hair off, but we got like an interesting answer because he said it stemmed from Arnie Kander having him do a lot of pool work this summer to increase his lung capacity, which I don't know if you heard that. That was very interesting to me because is that just a normal thing that some of the guys do in the offseason, or was that something they looked at last year as, hey, either, he's having issues with, stamina as far as, minutes being played and maybe that contributed to him not getting a lot of minutes, or whatever it was, did that point Arnie Kander and their staff to go, hey, this summer, let's work on your conditioning, work on your stamina, work on your lung capacity, whatever. Again, I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's a typical thing that happens in the summer, if this was something different, but that's why he said that's why he cut his hair, because he didn't want to have to get in. He was doing it every day. And so he was like, it's a lot of work, get in and out of the water and, twist it every day and all that kind of stuff. And so he just cut it all off. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I asked it as a joke, but I reading kind of the stuff he was saying, I thought that was kind of interesting at least. But yeah, it's a big year for Jet. Like it feels like this is it. It's a make or break year for him. And yeah, I'm interested to see if we see him. Honestly, I think that's what it comes down to. Like with the potential log jam in those positions, like how much do we see Jet? How much playing time does he earn or not earn? I think that's a really, really big question.
I will admit, right? Like, we have, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I know that like I have, being a Jet believer isn't the right word, but like I've been a Jet hopeful, I guess is the best way to put it. 'Cause I've been hopeful that like the theory of Jet Howard could be realized, the shooting, I don't care what anybody says. He has good offensive feel, not in terms of like always being in the right spots, but when he has the ball, knowing where other guys are and like being able to get them the ball, he's shown some like good, playmaking flashes and, the ability to knock down shots off the bounce, stuff like that. The thought of Jet taking a real step and having like a AB Jet Howard, Tristan Da Silva, like bench unit, and those guys just kind of, the young guys like going to work, sounds so fun. I'm not going to talk myself into like Jet Howard. I'm not going to do that right now.
Yeah.
But if it happens, I'll be really, really excited about it. I like the idea of his game. If he could be like fully realized and reach his potential, I think he would be a guy who would be really good, really dangerous, but would be a lot of fun to watch. So hopefully he's able to, put some of this together and make it work here, because if he can, it is only going to benefit this team. And at this point, Jeff talked about only having 14 guys. He's not going anywhere.
Right.
Like, because if you're going to move him for a player, what player of value are you going to get back, in a move like that? And like, you just kind of need the body on the roster right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. A couple things I want to mention. Live, we have a new patron who has just signed up. We have Jane, who I saw in the chat earlier, I believe. Jane Iwanowski has joined our
Jane. She's been a supporter for a long time, has bought shirts from us.
Yeah.
Always commenting on social media. Shout out, Jane. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining the Patreon community. Very, very glad to have you. Another thing before we go to the chat, Apparently, while we've been live on air, Jonathan, Tyreek Hill had
I've heard.
You heard? Okay, yeah, a
I haven't
gnarly
seen it,
knee
but
injury,
I've
like
heard.
went straight to the hospital type knee injury.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah, very, very bad. So obviously we talk basketball on this show, but I saw that notification. I saw it because someone mentioned it in the chat, and so I was like, oh boy, not great.
I got a few texts, and then I saw that as well.
Yeah, let's see a couple thoughts from the chat here. Mez says,
"Oh my gosh!
Oh, you watched it?
Oh no,
Oh,
that's so bad."
Okay, I'll have to watch it later. All right, let's see.
Like literally 90 degrees. Yeah,
Yikes.
that's not good,
Yikes.
man.
Okay.
Prayers up for him. That is absolutely terrible.
Yikes. All right. To the chat we go. Meh says, who was the most surprising at Media Day? That's an interesting question. Who was the most surprising?
Most surprising at Media Day.
You
know, this is kind of a weird thing. I don't know if you and I mentioned, but it didn't feel like a surprising Media Day. I don't really think there was a lot that we learned that we didn't already know. Had we not had the Jalen interview, I think that would have been like the big news of the day, that like Jalen's not ready for training camp. But everything else, like I feel like we like pretty much knew going into the day.
I'm trying to think about players. I don't know that I think the most surprising probably was Jeff. Like, again, he's just speaking in a way that we haven't heard. I mean, 7-8 years, again, whatever it's been, I can't remember. We've never heard him talk like he's talked, between, his press conferences at some of the acquisitions this summer to media day today. He's just using words and phrases that we've just never heard. And so maybe that's surprising. I think probably my favorite media availability was Mo Wagner. He's said a lot of stuff from the heart, and I mean, that's who he is, right? But just kind of hearing his heart on some things I thought was really cool. Goga as well, talking about speaking from the heart. He talked a lot about, what this summer meant to him and to the Georgia national team, and just to the country of Georgia and the future of basketball in his country and all that kind of stuff. So those are some of the things. Okay. Beat Bandits. I'll read this. Says, I'm going to say this real quick. Limp-wristed Reddit dorks turning their backs on y'all boys can kick rocks with no socks. We love everybody. So
Yep. Love everybody that watches the show, listens to the show.
That's right. Absolutely. So, and people that don't, we love everybody, whether you watch your show or not. Let's see. Anyway, heck yeah, says, we sweeping the first 3 games at home. We might sweep all 41 at home, as far as I'm concerned. We'll see. I'll see 41-0 at home.
Be very special.
Yeah.
Kev, I don't know if I told you this. You went to the restroom during media day. I came back and I ran into some of our friends with the social media team, and they were like live streaming.
Yeah.
So I jumped on there for like 2 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know you did. Okay.
Yeah. It was just happened like really fast and was super random. And I said like, yeah, let's win like 35, 36 home games this year. Like 36 and, well, I guess it'll be like 36-4 because we're losing.
Yeah. Well, we're going to win that game in Berlin anyway, so we'll count it as a home.
Sure.
If we win, we'll count it as a home game.
I think we should be shooting for like 33 to 35 home wins this year. I think that's pretty reasonable, and especially just with the type of environment it's been in Kia the last couple of years.
Yeah, that would be sick, dude. I mean, what did we do 2 years ago? 47 wins. We won.
Was it 20? What was it?
Let's see. We were under 500 on the road. You look that up. I'm curious about that. Let me read a couple more of these. Chris D's, I thought this. Maybe? I thought this. I didn't say it out loud, though. The Cole Anthony haircut is the last act of a desperate man, referring to Jet Howard. I thought this as well. That's why I'm glad he had a good answer for it, because I was like, man, is this a Cole thing where you're trying to fix your problems with a haircut? But let's see. Matty World P says, wonder what Jet did more of this summer. Pool work or 5-on-5 runs. Oh, rip. Oh, my gosh.
29-12.
29-12. Yeah. So, yeah. 31
35.
Yeah. V-Crom says, hi, good evening, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing Paolo, Franz, Suggs, Bane, Isaac all together. Go Magic. You and us both. We are very, very excited. Sam says, I was about to tell you not to look, Jonathan, referring to the Tyreek Hill injury. Too late. Heck yeah says, not going to lie, I thought we would find out the new arena PA announcer today. No, definitely not today. But we'll find out.
Snacks.
Yeah, not Jason Schnacks. We'll find out October 12th. By October 12th, probably. It's the first preseason home game. So we'll see about that. Matty World Peace also says first Kevin with the leg injury, now Tyreek. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Man says Jeff had 100 aura today for sure. He really did.
Yeah.
And DJ Tone says, how good was it seeing all the new branding and jerseys in person? We mentioned this a little bit at the top, but yeah, it was just electric. Not just the jerseys, they look great, but even they had a separate photo shoot with some of the 89 branded stuff. That just looks really, really good. So yeah, all of it looks really good in person.
We didn't get to see the blues or the statements, but
right, correct.
Yeah, really, still looking forward to that. But
yeah, and then last couple here, Beat Bandit says Goga mastered Kendra Jitsu, dodged every one of her segues. That's really funny. Awesome. Vikram says I'd love to do PA. Yeah, me too. That'd be really, really fun. Chris says Goga completely took over. I was dying. I'm gonna have to go watch that because a couple people have mentioned that. So I haven't seen that part yet with Kendra and Goga, but we'll have to watch that. So yeah, appreciate everybody getting involved in the chat. Leave some more thoughts and stuff before we get out of here in a little bit.
I'm curious. It's gonna sound so stupid, but I mentioned this to Kev after we talked to Jace. Like, obviously the personalities are very different. But, like, the cadence in which he speaks and, like, his mannerisms just reminded me so much of Cole Anthony. And maybe it's because they both have, like, pro dads and they're, I don't want to say media trained, but, like, yeah, like, you could tell that this kid knows what he's doing, you know, talking to the media. And I was really impressed when we asked him just about, like, hey, like, you're coming into a team where you're not going to get minutes right away like a lot of rookies, you know, or that are drafted in the first round, or you're going to have to work for everything. And he was just like, hey, whatever this team needs me to do is what I'm going to do. If they need me to be a cheerleader off the bench, I'm going to do that. If they need me to, you know, shoot and come in off the bench, whatever I need to do. He's like, I just want to be a good teammate and I want to do whatever helps this team. That's what you want to hear out of your rookie.
Yeah, it feels, and this is generalizing, but it feels like oftentimes there are two types of rookies. Number one, the type of rookies that just want to play and they don't really care about their environment or whatever. They just want to play as much as possible and get themselves a new contract and all that kind of stuff. And the other type of rookie is guys that just want to win. And so it definitely feels like Jace is one of those guys. Obviously comes from a great basketball family. But yeah, and it also is in line with how the Magic, you know, almost always draft character over, talent or whatever else. Not to say that they don't draft talented players, but character is the most important thing. And so you could see that in Jace and hear that in Jace. It was very cool to get to hear from him for the first time. Said he looks up a couple guys he's really looking forward to playing against. Kyrie, which apparently is one of the reasons why he wears the number 11. We found that out today. Kyrie and Russell Westbrook, a couple guys that he's excited to share the floor with this season. I think that'd be really cool if he has an opportunity to go one-on-one with Kyrie for a moment. I think that'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, I was super impressed with Jace. And I want to just add this question that we got in here. Where to go? Brandon Robbins says, who gets more playing time, Jace or Jet? Since we just talked about both of those guys, who gets more playing time this season, Jace or Jet? First off, I'll start. We've never seen Jace play an NBA basketball game, so this is obviously just a total guess, total speculation. I'm
gonna guess Jace.
That's why I was leaning. I was leaning Jace. I was leaning Jace as well.
I hope we're surprised. I really I want Jed Howard to work out so badly.
Right.
Because I like elements of his game, and if it works out, it's only better for this team. So I really hope that he proves us wrong.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think we need Jet more than we need Jace. With how this roster is constructed right now, like we need Jet to be good more than we need Jace to be good, because of the whole Jalen, AB, Tyus trio that can kind of, be a lead guard. Jace, could be a lead guard, could be off the ball, but his size is going to potentially be a problem with him being off the ball, maybe. Whereas Jet, on the other hand, being more of just like a 3-ball winger type, like we need some of that more than the other guys. The depth in that spot is a little bit different. So, but I'm probably leaning towards Jace as well. Let's see. Steven says, has anyone taken Cole's role of high vibe guy? That's another good question.
We got a lot of high vibe guys. I think
AB
that's,
was pretty high vibe today.
yeah. I mean, like Jalen is like as high of a high vibes guy as it gets, and I do think because they have, a good amount of those guys is part of what made Cole expendable, right? Like if this was a year or two ago, maybe you can't move Cole, but it does feel like we have enough of those guys now that they're like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah. Ace the Baller says, if you had to rank the jerseys in order of which one you'd purchase, how would you rank them? Again, we only saw one of them in person today. We did get to see a couple of them at the event back in June. This is so backwards because for almost my entire life, the whites have not been a priority at all. This one's different, I think. I love those white jerseys. Are they your number one or what?
White, blue statement, but they're all amazing.
They're all amazing. Yep.
It's like 10 out of 10, 9.8 out of 10, 9.2 out of 10. Like they're all awesome.
Yeah. Let's see a couple more of these here. Brian says, I hope Jace and Bronze Franz get a lot of run, referring to Tristan da Silva. Yeah, I think this is a big year for Tristan.
A lot of Tristan chatter around the gym today.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying like, hey, man, watch out for Tristan.
Yeah, absolutely. Rich says, what about the other rookie? Referring to Noah Penda. Yeah, we got to talk with Noah for the first time. That was nice. Seems like a great guy. I loved, someone asked him about, how has it been transitioning to the NBA, transitioning to the United States. He was like, honestly, really hard. There's a lot of stuff you have to do to, get over here. He was like, he literally mentioned like, get Social Security and credit report. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense. That's a lot.
Never really think about.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was pretty funny, but yeah.
I liked him talking about going to
Gatorland,
and, Islands of Adventure. It's like, this dude's doing all the Florida stuff.
But like those, I first off love Gatorland. And Islands of Adventure is great too. But like, if you think about all the things to do in Central Florida, are those really the first two things you're doing? You're
Probably
going to Gatorland and Islands of Adventure. Like I'm not hating. I love it. I think it's great. It's just, it's very, very different.
Never been to Gatorland.
You've never been to Gatorland?
Never been to Gatorland.
Well, we're going to have to change that for sure. I went to Gatorland as a Kissimmee guy. Went to Gatorland a lot because that's down closer to my neck of the woods. Let's see. Let's get a couple more of these and then maybe give some other thoughts here. Business Traveler says, do you guys know what the availability will be to watch Magic games if you only pay for the NBA League Pass? Great question. NBA League Pass, you can watch every single Orlando Magic game if you are not in Orlando. I shouldn't say that. I should back up. This year, because of the national TV games, there will be 9 games, I think. Or no, 14, sorry. There's 14 that are on national TV, 9 that are exclusive. So you'll be able to watch almost all the Magic games on League Pass. If you are in Central Florida, you cannot watch any games on NBA League Pass. So go to NBA League Pass's website, and there you can put in your zip code. And you put in your zip code, it will tell you what teams are blacked out in your zip code. And so if the Magic are one of those teams that's blacked out, don't get League Pass because you're not going to be able to watch any Magic games. But if you're not in Central Florida, it's the best way to go. Jalen says, if Tristan can shoot 35 to 40% from 3 this year, we are definitely going places. Facts. I mean, he shot 52%, 53% at Eurobasket. Obviously very different. But it shows he's capable. Definitely shows he's capable. Jane also said, Kendra's live stream with all the guys was so fun to watch. I got to catch bits and pieces of it. It definitely sounds like I need to go back and watch that Goga segment. She also says, also so excited to be a part of the Patreon fam. We are too. Thank you so much for joining. And then Escoso Fresco says, Gatorland is awesome. It really, really is. And then Sam says, my 13-year-old nephew is a Heat fan, and I'm going to be unbearable on opening night. That's the way to do it. So, yeah.
You need to show him the light and
That's
convert him.
Lead
That's
him.
what you need to do.
Be
He's
a
13
leader.
years old. He's impressionable. Just tell him, like, dude, like, you missed the prime of the Heat.
Yep.
Do you really want to suffer for the next 10 years?
Yep.
Or do you want to come to the light and root for the Magic and enjoy your life?
That's right. And get to watch games with your really cool Uncle Sam like that. And I don't mean Uncle Sam. I mean, you are Sam. You are his uncle. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's pretty funny. Let's see. Any other thoughts from today? I do have one. We haven't really talked about Paolo. I have a thought on Paolo's media availability.
Okay.
Out of everyone we saw today, Paolo was the least spoken, if that makes sense. Paolo's answers were very short, deliberate, but short, to the point. And that's not unusual. That's not uncommon. Paolo. That's Paolo. But it also just gave off the vibe of like, let's just go play basketball. Like, I'm ready to do this, which was very exciting for me. But yeah, I thought that was, I don't know if interesting is the right word. Not that I expected something different, but if he came in talking all different and talking a lot, and I would have probably felt a little strange. But I mean, it just felt like business for Paolo. Like, this is something on my calendar. I got to do it. Check it off. Now give me this little brown ball and let's go win a championship.
I just learned that Mo and Franz have no idea who Goku is. This is a real problem.
Interesting. Okay.
Scooter Magruder did a video asking guys who wins in a fight, Goku or Superman, and they just have no idea who Goku is. That's a real problem.
I see.
We might have to rethink some of these roster.
Oh my gosh, get out of here with that.
No, I really don't have anything else. I mean, Paolo seems like he's ready to hoop up and down the roster. It's like guys talked about expectations. Jeff talked about we can't pat ourselves on the back too much. We just need to get to work. And honestly, that's where I am. I'm ready to see training camp clips tomorrow. I'm ready to hear guys talk about how competitive it was and how good the team looks, and really ready for Saturday, even though it's going to be an exhibition, just to see our boys back on the floor.
And I'm curious what we're going to wear. It sounds stupid, but when you've never seen these jerseys, being used, I'm curious. Excuse me. You know what? I wonder if what's that site? Locker Vision. I wonder if Locker Vision is up.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess the Blues.
Let's see. Well, it depends on, obviously Miami's the home team, and so. Oh, Locker Vision is up. Okay. Oh, only for the regular season. Okay. Hold on. The regular season is up.
Opening night whites.
I'm going. Is it up? Opening.
Ace the Baller. We have had Scooter on the show, by the way.
Oh, wait. This is last year.
Somebody said wear Luke's special, which is nothing, obviously.
This is last year. This is 2024. Yeah. Rip. All right. That's all right. There goes that idea. But
we'll know soon enough.
We will know soon enough. Yeah, it's going to be very exciting, but not yet.
All right. We're over an hour here. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up.
Yeah, I'm good.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Obviously, we don't have the privilege of going to Media Day without you guys, so we appreciate all the love. Looking forward to training camp. Looking forward to preseason. Magic basketball is back. Appreciate everybody tuning in. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!